Yep.
We're good to go?
We're good to go.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna call this meeting in order. We got 6:04 here in the room. So first is a roll call. So out there in Zoom land, it's Dave, V, and Julie. And then in person, it's
Cheryl Hammond.
Kelly Tarbell.
Paul Wojciechowski.
David Martin.
Lauren Fearman.
Craig Huckfield.
Jeb Fishwick.
Emma Vastola.
Todd Barrow.
Lauren Baker.
All right, excellent. So first I want to say everybody out there in Zoom land that if you want to speak, to raise your electronic hand, raise hand, that's on the bottom of the screen. We're going to raise hand and then Lauren will take care of the rest for you and she'll unmute you. So, all right, next motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
One second.
All right. Dave M. Okay. And then Kelly seconds it. Any additions or deletions? All right, Dave, go ahead, Dave.
No, I put my hand up to second it.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, excellent. All right, any additions or deletions? Here, give me 1 second. All right, so we're just on the beginning here, approval of the agenda. All right. All right, any additions, deletions? There are none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, well, it's gonna be rough with that. All right, next motion to approve the minutes of September 13th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
All right, Dave M makes the motion. All right, Jamie's gonna second it. All right, so it was a quick meeting, 7:06. Ellen did a good job, about an hour, so gotta keep that thing going.
I got nothing on them.
Okay, so you guys are good with the minutes? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Communications, board comments. Any board comments out there?
Aye.
Right? Public comments. Not seeing any raised hands, nobody out here. All right. Next, we got administration reports, superintendent's report. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, let's see, I don't have all that much for you. Our rescheduled board goal meeting, also known as the retreat, happened 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, September 27th, from 8 in the morning till 3 o'clock at Jackson Gore. Debbie Singizer from the VSBA was our facilitator. Kara Zimmerman, an attorney also from the VSBA, spoke about Robert's Rules of Order, meeting procedures. Most of the Green Mountain Board members attended. We did not have a quorum from Ludlow-Mount, so there was no minutes from that meeting. But we had 3 members there who participated, and we had 4 out of 6 of the TRSU members, so we had a quorum for that group as well. The boards discussed which goals they wanted to continue with for this year, and Debbie shared with us the suggestion that at the next TRSU meeting that we finish up those goals. And to do that, they need to decide, you all need to decide on the deadlines for the goals that are missing deadlines, and to complete an annual work plan that can serve as a monitor and tracking goals, match the template. All of these materials are in the TRSU goals for 23-24 folder that has been shared with all board members so that you can go in and look at those. If you have any trouble finding it, send me an email and I will resend the link to you, but everybody already has that in their Google Drive. The goals that were decided on were that the board, this is not really a board goal, it's an administrative goal, that you will receive from us our administration's definition of student success by the end of 2023-2024. We started with that. We gave you some information about it. We'll finalize all of that and make sure that you all have that by the end of the year so that you can decide what you are going to do with it. The board goals were to revise and finalize the draft vision statement, and you have to set a date by whatever the date is. To revise and finalize the comprehensive 3-year board calendar that includes learning for the board by a particular date. And that the boards will continue to focus on consistently holding efficient and effective board meetings through continued board development. There were a number of comments at the retreat about the excellent way Paul manages both the Ludlow meeting and the TRSU meeting in terms of efficiency. The Green Mountain Board has a goal about working on rebuilding trust among its members. The TRSU board has as probably its primary goal that by June 30th, you have a new superintendent. So while it's worded as hiring a new superintendent by June 30th, you'll be hiring one long before that. So you have a new superintendent in place on July 1st, and that you will develop a simple and clear superintendent evaluation system by whatever the date is that you decide on and set, which will be good for you to have when you're hiring your new superintendent. If there's more, I can talk about that when we do the TRSU wrap up, but the idea is for board members to have thought about these goals and these deadlines, and at the next TRSU meeting to set those dates for it. So I'm sure that input from all board members is welcome. I have mentioned in the past, this was back in March of last year, that a settlement was negotiated for the TRSU with Juul Labs, which has been involved in the production of vapes and students using vaping tobacco material. There was a class action settlement. The TRSU was part of it. There was a settlement set last spring. We'll be receiving approximately $24,000 as part of that settlement at some point this fall. There's recently been an additional settlement and similar claims with a company called Altria, which also produces tobacco-related products. In that settlement, we will receive just over $7,000 associated with that claim. And of course, attorney fees and costs come out of both of those, so it will be a little bit less than that actual number. When we get that check, we will see that reflected in our financials. Let's see, the VSA-VSBA joint meeting will happen at Lake Maury on October 26th and 27th. While that is the time when the board chair and the superintendent meet and in this professional development and complete the 8 hours a year of required professional development, it is open to all school board members, and people are encouraged, if you can, to attend. You get a lot of good information. The registration link is available on the VSBA website. I'll be there, Paul will be there. There is also an upcoming webinar about budgeting, which is valuable for all board members. That will happen on November 14th at noon. It is called Line Items, Tax Rebates and Budgets, Oh My. And that is free. The registration is on the VSBA website. Let's see. The Southeast Regional Superintendents, the group that I am part of, has an annual breakfast meeting with our legislators, with the representatives and senators in the Vermont legislature. They've been doing that for years. Prior to COVID, it was done in person. During COVID, it was done on Zoom, where we didn't actually have breakfast. Last year, we were able to be in person again. We hold that at the River Valley Technical Center, where their culinary students, which include some of our students from Green Mountain, which includes some students from Ludlow, prepare and serve breakfast to the legislators. We'll be doing that again this year on December 8th. We start planning that well in advance. We send invitations to everybody, usually somewhere between a third and half of the legislators show up. Our topics this year that we are talking to the legislators about are literacy in Vermont, building aid, construction, building renovation aid, the teacher shortage, mental health issues, the upcoming ESSER funding cliff, which will be happening in September of next year, and career tech education. It's part of what we do. And I think that's what I have. Oh, no, the last thing was, we also start planning for our regional calendars around now for next year. It happens really early. We are under an obligation to align our region, the Southeast Vermont region, and we are under a requirement that our district align with our tech center, which is River Valley Tech. Every year, we have some issues with that because like some other regions, our region has some schools in it that are aligned with a different tech center. And when their tech center doesn't align with our tech center, we sometimes have people who wind up with calendars that don't exactly match up. We also have one district that straddles the line over into New Hampshire, and their calendars wind up in a different place altogether. This creates a problem for some of the people in Mount Holly and Ludlow, more so than in Green Mountain, because we have students from Ludlow and Mount Holly who attend Mill River, and Mill River High School is not part of the Southeast region. So we have unfortunately had it happen on the last couple of years when at least one of our vacations don't line up. That's not something that anybody wants. It is something that the tech center directors are always working to try to align. We all wish it would be the case that the state of Vermont would just say, schools, here's your calendar, and we could therefore have it all match. However, what we will do is once, and I will argue strenuously, as we have done in the past, that we should be in a place where we are aligned with our area schools. However, what River Valley Tech winds up doing to serve all of its schools is what we will wind up doing. And
Yeah.
did we answer it?
Go, Julie.
Hello. I had a question about earlier in your remarks, you made a reference to a settlement from, I think, Jewel, a class action lawsuit. Is that available for LMH, or did I hear that it was for teenagers and that was for GM?
It's a settlement that was done through the Two Rivers Supervisory Union. So the money will be distributed to the Two Rivers Supervisory Union.
Got it. And is it restricted, the money?
At the moment, I do not have the information about what the specifics are of how we can spend it.
Okay, thank you.
Once I do, we'll share that with you and hopefully be able to distribute it across all of our schools.
Excellent. All right, let's go ahead, Kate.
Lauren, there's an in-service day that falls at the end of September that used to be a regional in-service day that no longer seems like a regional in-service day. Is that a day that could be pushed to not be so close to the next in-service day, right? Like, I don't know, and if that's something you can bring up to your regional people, I know there's a lot of people who feel like we have these two really early in-service days really close together at a time when we're just kind of getting rolling and then we stop, and then we get rolling again and we stop, and you know, I don't know if people are willing to hear that.
And we can certainly talk about it. Part of why I bring this up is that it is useful for me to hear from people. You know, there's some things I know are an issue that when we have, it's usually our April vacation. This area, the Southeast region, tends to have its April vacation a week earlier than a lot of other schools have it. And that creates problems. So I'm aware of that one. With our in-service days, we don't always align because we have 10 in-service days and some of the other districts have fewer. And that means that while our calendars almost always for within the region will align for Christmas break, for February break, and for April break, not all of our in-service days line up when one district has 4 during the year and we have 8.
I just know that late one in September was sort of put in there a few years ago.
As a regional one?
And it was like but it only lasted like a year or two, and it stopped being a regional one, but most of the schools or the schools
Yeah, we still,
yeah,
we tend
use
to
it.
keep it.
and it's productive, but it just seems tough. It's in a hard spot.
I'm glad to bring that up.
One in October really tough too, because that's the week that Ludlow-Mount Holly's sixth graders are elated.
Well, and it is, we have had a preference for scheduling our in-service days to come the day after some of these 3-day weekends. And that's the reason for this one, right? Yeah. But not all of the other schools do that. So. Like, we don't have one after Veterans Day this year or before Veterans Day, but other schools have had that. So, yeah, send me an email as well, and I'll bring it up when we have our discussions about it. And everybody, eventually do.
All right. Any other
Check the
questions?
door too while you're there, if it's still open.
Any other questions?
We'll be rushing through this meeting.
We go from like 80 to 100 to like 40.
I know, it's,
Your breath.
It's for mom letters.
All right, this is why I can't wait for the new heating system here. All right, we're good? Everybody good with Lauren? All right, cool, thanks, Lauren. All right, next principal reports, and go ahead, Deborah.
All right, so we had our open house on October 3rd. This coincided with our Scholastic Book Fair. Students were excited to show their parents around. Parents were excited to be in the building. It was my understanding that it hasn't happened in a while, so it was nice to come back to some normalcy. And the bonus of having the Scholastic Book Fair during our back to school night is we made more money than we have in a very long time at the Scholastic Book Fair. And that goes back to bringing books into our building, and Julie, the librarian, is able to pick things for her library and get things for classrooms as well. Last week, we finally got the okay to release the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment Program scores. That is a new state assessment for 3rd through 6th graders. It goes into high school and middle school, but for us, 3rd through 6th grade, and took the place of the SBAC, the Smarter Balanced Assessment, and those scores were sent home. And I'm doing a community meeting on the 20th, Donuts with Deb, a coffee hour. I'm going to be talking about the NWEA scores, or the math assessment, measured of academic progress assessment scores at that meeting. But parents who have questions about the new assessment can also ask during that meeting. The PTG organized the Harvest Fair, which happened on the 30th. Many staff and families participated by donating food items, their time, or buying squares for Judo Bingo. I have no idea who won. Obviously, it wasn't me. And Lisa Marks's class worked collectively and collaboratively to make 16 apple pies.
Wow, thanks.
In an afternoon, it was pretty impressive to see that assembly line happening. This week, our 6th graders are currently at Keewaydin. I've checked in with Mr. Parker, and he says that kids are having a great time and doing lots of fun things. He sent some pictures along. So they look like they're having a great time there. We have started doing school-wide assemblies again. We had our first assembly on the 27th, the same day as your retreat, and students presented ways in which they can be safe, kind, and responsible in their classrooms. And now they've been challenged to put ideas of how to expand that within our building. We have a bulletin board outside the main office, so they're looking at ways they can be safe, kind, and responsible in the hallway, in the cafeteria, on the playground. In October, towards the end of the month, our assembly will focus on the adaptability, one of the tenets of Portrait of a Graduate. So we'll be looking for students to talk about working effectively and flexibly, understanding the balance of diverse points of views and belief, and how to face setbacks with confidence and learn from those mistakes. And this coming Friday, we have the Vermont, our Ludlow Fire Department coming in to talk to our kids about fire safety. Apparently stop, drop, and roll is not a thing anymore, so I'm excited to know what the new lingo is. So we're looking forward to having them come back into our building. And this coming Friday is, we're hosting a community family breakfast where families are invited to come have breakfast with their children. And Darlene has said she's making homemade cinnamon rolls. I don't know whether I'll be able to resist, so we'll see how that goes. And as I had mentioned, on the 20th, I'm gonna host a coffee hour. And everyone is welcome to come and attend. For those who are unable to attend, I will do a slide presentation and take a risk and do a screencast and send that out and attach it to my newsletter. So that's what we're up to here at Ludlow.
All right, any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can you say something about the test results? Or is that a premature question?
It is premature, and the Vermont Comprehensive Assessment was the first time that we gave it as a state. And my experience this past spring in giving it, there were many times, and I don't know, I can't speak for Ludlow, but I can speak for my previous district. There were many kids who were not able to get in. Many of the accommodations that we were told were allowable were not available for students to use. So I'm not quite sure, even though those results are there and we sent them home, I think in some cases it's a baseline. And I think we have a lot more to learn about the assessment system and how it works and working some of those kinks out around kids logging on. We had kids in my previous district who were not able to log on to a test session at all. And so it was like building an airplane while it was flying. So we were sending the results out because we have an obligation to send those results out. But I can't really speak to those yet because they were embargoed, and then we were told we could release them, and then we were told we couldn't release them, and then we were told we could print them, and then we couldn't print them, and then no, we printed the wrong ones, it didn't have the right information, so it is what it is.
They've been sent home to individual families because we're required to do that. Any discussion about what our districts, our schools, or our SU have in the way of results, as Deb just so beautifully described? We're not at any place to be able to talk about that with any kind of reasonableness.
And Dave, this is the test that they told us in October they were changing. And 2 weeks before we were giving it, we still didn't have instructions about how to give it or how to implement it, so.
It's at best useful as a baseline, and even that's.
So next year.
Next year.
Okay.
All right. Any questions, comments? All right. Thanks, Deb. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we had just started our circus residency, which was new for us, having a residency in the fall. And we, that week really successfully with a community show, and kids were able to display all kinds of incredible new skills in the circus arts. And a lot of the feedback we got, particularly from the kids, was that they loved kicking off the school year with the residency. It was really positive and really brought a lot of energy and engagement at the beginning of the school year. So that is something that we're going to consider for next year as well, so doing a fall residency. We also sent home the VT CAP scores last Friday. Grades 3 through 6, and last Friday was also the close of the NWA MAPS window for fluency. The week before that was the end of the window for reading growth and math growth. Our sixth graders are also at Keewaydon. I had the privilege of being the chaperone yesterday and got to arrive at camp and do the first series of investigations in environmental science with students there. I was happy to see that there's wood stoves in the cabins. It's chilly this week. Nice and toasty there, and a really good start. And we have different staff members this week that are taking different days to chaperone. So Naomi's there today, Bob's going to be there tomorrow, and Zoe's going to be there on Friday. We also recently had our open house, which was on September 27th. We had a great turnout. Our sixth graders led an all-school meeting to kick it off. that was also concurrent with our book fair, which is always really well attended and successful. We had a couple of big PTG events the last 2 weekends. So this past weekend was Cider Days, and our Super Kids project was a lot of fun. We now have a lot of folks that come year after year and are building a collection of their soup bowls. So that raised just over $3,500. And the kids have added a lot of different things, but I also participated the weekend before at the Tap to Table festival down in Cuttingsville. So the kids not only have soup bowls and coffee mugs and soup, but they made earrings out of crayon material and handmade wax candles and just some kind of new and different things added to the repertoire. And day after tomorrow, we are also having a breakfast for our families and to celebrating with them for breakfast.
That was breakfast. All right. Questions, comments for Craig? Good, I don't see any out there. All right, cool. Thank you, Craig. All right, next, curriculum reports. That you want to.
That is me, and I need to share my screen, but I.
Give a second.
Wait. for just a minute.
You should be able to share.
Thank you. So, you remember, in September, Julie and I decided we would collaborate to give one board report together, the curriculum instruction and assessment board report. So this is the structure of what I'm going to be talking about today, which is literacy, math, teaching and learning. So again, it'll be 3 different parts. So what are our students learning? How are our students doing? And what are we doing to continue to improve teaching and learning? So what are our students learning? So this year, I'm really focusing for the board on our foundational skills. Last month, I really focused on talking about phonemic awareness, and this month I'm focusing on unpacking the foundational skills in relation to phonics. This document was created last year by the ELA Advisory Committee. It was shared at your retreat a couple weeks ago, as Laura mentioned, which is the K-6 Literacy Guiding Principles. In that document, it says TRSU has made a commitment to supporting a structured literacy approach to support students to become skilled readers. And so what that means is it's highly explicit, scaffolded, cumulative, diagnostic, and systematic teaching of language comprehension and the word recognition strands of the reading rope, which I spoke about quite a bit last year. So I'm going to get right into this word recognition piece. So phonics really is a method of teaching people to read by correlating sounds with letters or groups of letters in an alphabetic writing system. So structured phonics is the most effective way for ensuring students acquire knowledge of the letter-sound correspondence that are fundamental to becoming successful readers. So we use word recognition along with books and other instructional materials that follow a sequence of phonics patterns. And so we work in our K3 using a program called Foundations for that. And I think one thing that I really want to mention too is that we have our module component, which we introduced last year, and Foundations we're in our 5th year now of doing this program in our schools. So the books and other instructional materials follow the sequence of phonics patterns. These are the books, student workbooks, just models of what the K3 look like. And these are decodable books that align with the phonics patterns. So this is the scope and sequence of acquisition of K5 skills that are generally taught in K2. So you can see starting with closed syllables, 3 sounds, moving to open syllables, and then moving more into suffix endings, consonant LE syllables, to adding suffixes. And then in the 3 through 5, it's additional work with vowel work as well as advanced concepts. And the way that we're teaching is both decoding and encoding, so it's reading and spelling simultaneously at the same time. So in math, I think that Julie's here, but I'm gonna do my best shot here, so Julie, jump in if you want. Fortunately, I taught 3-4 for a while, so I have an understanding of multiplication. And so here in math, we're focusing really on different strategies for multiplication. So what strategies can I use to solve? So down here in the lower right, you'll see that typically kids come in and they use repeated addition. And so we want to make sure that we're providing students lots of different strategies. And these are some of the ones that our teachers are providing for students, moving up to doubling strategy, to break apart strategy, or area model, as well as building an array. So as Julie asked me to invite you to solve a problem, math problem. So here is the problem. Miss Para's class has a string of hearts plant in the classroom. After they had the plant for 6 months, its longest vine measured 272 centimeters. That was 16 times longer than when the class first got the plant. How long was the vine when it arrived in the classroom? So I'll give you a couple minutes to try to get into that problem. Show your work. It's important.
Without getting out our calculators. On the phone.
Show your work. Okay, so I'm going to assume that many people went to this traditional algorithm.
Yep, sure.
So which that's what we were taught, right? That's typically where we went to, but we're really wanting to have kids provide other strategies of solving to get their conceptual understanding of what it means to actually unpack this problem. So here you see we have 272 in the middle, in the area in the middle of the rectangle, 16. So what's the what are the side lengths going to be? We break it apart even further. So the vine was 17 inches long when it first arrived. So really these area models are for thinking, to really unpack the number and understand more about what actually means within this problem. Julie, are you there? Do you want to add anything?
Nope, that was perfect, Emma. And the only thing I would add is we all thought of this as a division problem given the context and the way it was worded, but many students could think of it as a missing factor problem for multiplication and still arrive at a solution. And that's fine. The flexibility is important.
So how are our students doing? So this is a snapshot of our reading fluency assessment data that Craig had mentioned. The window just closed. And this is from the TRSU perspective. So in our kindergarten, grade 1, 2, and 3, and you want to think about what this means in terms of what it's actually assessing. So it's a benchmark summary of over time. When you come out of foundational skills, you start to have oral reading fluency. So usually around grade 2, you become really fluent readers. So you're reading less decodable text, you're reading more connected text. Being a structured literacy system, that's how we view reading. So really over time, we want our kindergartners, obviously, are going to have foundational skill scores. Remember, this is fall, they're just coming in. Grade 1, they still have foundational skill scores. And so by grade 2, and again, this is in fall, you have some are starting to connect text, they have oral reading scores, and then there are more in grade 3. Ideally, we would want this to be higher in grade 2, being even in the beginning of 2nd grade. But you can see we're looking at over time as students grow, how foundational skills are being utilized and fluency is going into oral reading rates. This is a snapshot of just some student work related to our phonics program. Here's a grade 4 sample of a quote unquote spelling test, where a teacher asks certain sounds and the student produces the written sound. And also they are given a sentence and then they can circle certain trick words that they see more frequently, and also practice certain skills that are being taught at that level. Grade 2, another strategy that the teachers are utilizing with students is to mark up words. So where they see a glued sound, for instance, or where a consonant blend might be. So students gain this awareness of where certain structures are in words. Grade 1, moving kind of backwards. So they use these picture clues at first to recognize a sound. So this one would be a snake. So they're making the connection between the letter. The picture helps them understand the letter, and then the sound makes a difference. So the teachers work with students too. In math, so this is a snapshot of our IXL benchmark data. So you can see in the orange, so in the green, above grade, lighter green on grade, below grade, far below grade is the orange. So as you can see where we are.
Okay.
Can you explain, sorry, about I assume it has to do with, maybe it's Green Mountain, I don't know. The high school score, that wouldn't include our Mill River kids, correct?
This is just TRSU.
Right. Even though there are kids, they're not included in this.
That's correct, yeah. So this includes TRSU, so it's all 4 of our elementary schools and Green Mountain. Yeah. So what are we doing to continue improving teaching and learning? In literacy, I pulled out one of the many things that we're doing to kind of highlight to bring our comprehensive assessment system to make it a little bit more robust. So this is a document from Achieve the Core, focusing on priority instructional content and really linking our instructional practices to assessment. We are in a pilot year of using the DIBELS 8th edition. So really what our team is doing is adopting the DIBELS 8th edition as a universal screener, benchmark assessment and progress monitoring in K-6. And when we do that, the theory of action is really that Two Rivers will strengthen its capacity to improve K-6 literacy instruction. If literacy instruction is improved, then literacy development achievement K through 6 will increase. And so really it's in this body of research, it's saying that we're using assessments, periodic check-ins to really unpack those phonics skills, the phonological awareness more routinely and systematically throughout the K-4 experience. So we can provide specific instruction at the skill level that the student is at in order for them to grow. So this assessment will help us do that more strategically. In math, we have been chosen as a state systematic improvement plan. So Julie and some of our other teacher leaders have been working with the AOE to improve the proficiency of math performance for students with disabilities in grades 3, 4, and 5. Also, we have the OGAP formative assessment in multiplicative reasoning and that's in January and February, and we already have 11 educators registered for that. And so those are some professional learning opportunities and resources that we are currently offering for math.
Questions? Julie. Yeah, Julie has one.
Yep.
Hold up, Julie.
Yep. There you go.
Hi. Thank you so much for that presentation. I've been following a lot of the media coverage on reading curriculums in the region. There was a big article in the Boston Globe about the structured versus the balanced literacy curriculum. And I think 7 Days also had an article about it. And I just want to thank you and, everyone in the district who has embraced the structured curriculum because and the sort of data-based approach. And I really appreciate that is going to be what's best for our students. I mean, according to the data. So thank you for that. Really appreciate the efforts and the progress and all of the good work on that.
Thank you.
We made a decision within the SU in 2019 that we were going to discontinue some of the practices that were debunked through research over the last 20 years connected with what has been referred to as balanced literacy, mostly things around what's called a 3Q system. And with COVID coming in, it has taken us a little bit in order to really move forwards with it. But last year and into this year, Emma and Julie both have really run with it, and we're pretty confident that we are doing what it is right for students based on the research that's available.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Tara Shue, Facilities Director report.
Very short. Most of these people work like them.
They're having trouble hearing you when you're that.
These people are all the flooding. The fines and Holly.
They can't hear you, so I'm gonna ask you to come down to this place. I'm sorry.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. The architects and design team have already done the Mount Holly, final review. They will be at Ludlow on Friday to do that. We'll meet with Deb. We will also be Friday at Mount Holly. They're gonna do, EI and their team will be doing the 3D imaging on the outside and inside of the school at Mount Holly. They'll be here at Ludlow on Saturday doing that in order to be ready for their major presentation to this board in November. So that's about all I have.
All right. Any questions, comments on this? All right, pretty short. Looking good there, Todd. All right, thank you. You. Financial update.
Okay, so I left July and August in the folder, and I've included September's because I wasn't at the meeting last month, so I didn't know if anybody had any questions. Really, the financials look good. A couple areas that were over everyday math and maybe foundations, I haven't looked at that one closely, but we when we're building a budget, we are a year from, or 9 months at least from, ordering product, and then we don't know the count of the students, and so that was everyday math that we had planned for X number of students, and now we have Y number of students, and we have to make up the difference. So we run into that with benefits and all kinds of things that happen with the student count. So other than that, looks pretty good for this time of year. Any questions on the financials? A few things for you tonight. No? Okay. The Wood Grant for the bond, if you remember the presentation that they did, there was like 250,000, up to 250,000. We have passed the first draft of that. So we are one of, I think, 14 schools that kind of in the running, but there's $2.2 million for 14 schools. So Mr. Eric, who I believe is on the line, is going to be helping write that grant. He really needs to because it's detailed information about the system and the need in the district, which he is going to be better versed at than myself. So that's due at the end of the month.
And so hopefully we will know, within the next two, if that's gonna, the amount that we're gonna get. I believe we're gonna get something. Just what is the amount? I'll come back and I'll do clear goes last. Mike Tomisto had brought to my attention that there was a larger repair for $4,500, some oil tank reader. Something has to be replaced, so that will probably be an overage in the budget, because that wasn't planned for. The FY 25 budget, I'll be meeting with Deb and Craig here in the next couple of weeks, and we're starting to pull that all together, so your first draft will be at the next one. Seems scary that we're talking about FY 25. That is not it. Found out yesterday, I haven't even shared this with Lauren, that the state made an error when they calculated our special ed block grant. I haven't really got into the details of the why, and at this point, why doesn't necessarily matter, is that the mistake happened. And so we're gonna get about $53,000 less in the special ed grant than what we had anticipated. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. The other business managers are asking for the state to make that up in our general state support grant. But those numbers are all set. Across the state is $1.9 million impact on people. So we'll take our small 53,000 and run that. So where we are is that we have, and I'll look the next time and bring that, is that our cost per pupil is significantly higher than what the state believes that it should be. And so they're stepping us down over the next 3 or 4 years. And I believe that's the step down process didn't quite go as planned. And that's why we're having to not get as much money.
Can I ask a question?
We can.
Trying to put a filter on. Is it a mistake that the state made in calculating a few specific schools, or is it a mistake the state made calculating something bigger at their end that they're trying to now make up for? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I completely understand it.
So, like,
affected
did
everybody.
they-
So I think what they did is that step down has either, I have not totally unpacked it. It either has to do with the long-term membership, or it has to do with the percentage they use for the step down. And so whatever they did, it affected everybody. It was just an error. It wasn't there. It was Brad James. So Brad James is a pretty humble guy. He's eating a lot of crow right now for this mistake. So I don't think there was any intent.
Well, I don't know that I meant intent, but yeah, okay, I think that sort of answers what I was thinking.
All right, I will dive into it a little bit deeper and let you know. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was ClearGov, and I had sent out a link. Actually, I'm not sure I sent it to you guys. I hope somebody had an opportunity to review it. Everybody's not looking at me, so
I
I'm
did.
gonna go with no.
I thought it was good. I did. I looked at the different setups and how the budgets were broken down and everything else. And it was, these students, 6,000, 19,000 students, one right outside of Boston, an area. So I thought it was really useful to be able to click on all the links and break it down and explain it. So I don't know, I spent like 10 to 15 minutes just looking at those 3 samples you gave, and
It is
very interactive.
So what it is,
I like it.
it's a way for us to be able to report our budgets easier to the public and to the board. And it has the ability to drill down and separate it into departments, and then look at it in a graph, or to take something off and not look at it. It's a way, it would in a way replace our annual booklet. So there's 2 sections that I looked at. One was transparency and the other was reporting, rather than the word, but that's what it is. So the transparency would give a lot of information about the district and the students and the staff and our cost per pupil, and then a lot of data that Emma was quite excited about. I think that we could pull some additional information in it. And then the other part is just reporting on the budget, comparing the years and breaking it down by department, looking at it as a whole. And so there's many different ways that you can look at it. It is flashy, it's nice. My concern is the usage.
There is a way for them to go in to do some sort of a Google background and be able to tell how many people have used it. My other question to them was, could we utilize it more than just the budgets? Because if when we talk about budgets, we're talking about from November to March, and that budget passes, no one's looking at it again. And pretty much people won't look at it till it's almost time to vote, if they look at it. If we could utilize it by monthly updating the actual expenses so that we could use it like as a year round. He kind of gave me we maybe could make that work, but that's not the intention of the product, and my experience has been if that's not the intention of the product, it's probably not gonna work all that well to do it. So the cost is like $2,600 for implementation, and then $7,600 a year for that, annually for that subscription.
So this was introduced to the TRSU board last week. The TRSU board approved it, subject to the discussion at both of the school districts and school districts not having an objection.
So there's ways to attach a lot of the different information. It looked to me like they will filter, they'll take our chart of accounts, pull it in, and then I'll do an export and they'll upload it and do their thing. But it looked to me like there were some reports that clearly was a dot matrix printer that someone uploaded into it. That's what it looked like. It's very finance. So there's some things that we can add to it to make it ours, to do additional data, some of the stuff that, Emma and Julie work with potentially to do it. I'm trying to set up a meeting for next week for the senior management, and I would be happy to invite some board members to come to be able to look at it, principals if you want, to be able to ask a lot of questions before it's something that over with your travel time.
Any questions?
I mean, I looked at it, not, and basically decided that if you think it's a good idea, then I support you, but I'm not gonna look at it carefully enough to say, oh, no, it's not exactly what we want, but.
Well, that's why I'd like some other people to look at it before that final decision's made, because my lens is a little bit different in my numbers background as someone else coming in from the other side, being able to get something out of it for that to make sense to them.
I thought it was very easy to read and understand and break it down, and just all the little bit, just how they poured it in, how they talked about it, and then they showed like future data of students and everything else, so.
Some of them did have, and so a lot of these were towns too, so you have to be creative and switching it around.
Yeah, I'm just seeing how many schools like these towns operated, how many students and how many grades.
The one with Eagle out in Colorado had 20 schools in there.
Yeah, oh geez, it was in transportation. I thought, they're all those, so it was at least for me, not, really understanding, it was very easy to navigate and go through and very useful. They could really pinpoint it, so. Down to each category. They even showed you like what everything meant, like how you gave us that little thing one time on what each number means, and they broke that down and said what each thing means.
So we would include all that.
Yep.
But it would be probably part of our, a link from our website.
And available to everybody to look at. It takes the information that is already available to everybody and turns it into an understandable, user-friendly, graphic-heavy report instead of just an endless Excel spreadsheet with numbers in it.
Right.
So.
And I do like the options for like a pie chart or another type of chart. They give you like different options to look at it differently, so.
We won't get into the detail of like what makes up a budget line. But or then what you would see on the information on that provided.
Dave had his hand up?
Right, so these. No, I don't think, okay, all right, go ahead, Kelly.
So I think roughly $10,000
For year one.
What does it cost us in comparatively in loose numbers to print out the booklets? And what does year two look like if year one is $10,000? Is it like?
It'd be the 76 or around there, depending on inflation of it.
So give or take.
I think that the booklets run between $3,000 and $4,000. Currently for Ludlow-Mount Holly though, that is that was at your annual meeting that you decided to do that. So if you don't want to print these booklets and you want to go this route, it has to be a vote.
So we could decide tonight to spend $10,000, and at our annual meeting, we could still wind up spending the 4.
You will this year
Four-ish.
because you can't
Anyways,
ask
right.
them again until
After
the annual meeting.
And I think there will be some concerns about that when I have thought of this, I have not thought of this as being something that would necessarily replace that. This is primarily so that you are looking at budget information. And part of what goes out in that annual report includes written reports from all kinds of different people that that you are looking at. And I, much as I would like to say that we are ready to not send things in print to people, we're not.
Right,
But there are-
and that was my concern, yeah, so.
Right, but we could include those reports, so it would be full.
Absolutely.
So this is another question I have to ask, is the breakout of it, because we could have a TRSU report that would have all of the supervisory union, all of Ludlow-Mount Holly and all of Green Mountain Unified in one. And when you go to view it, you can go in and say, I just want to see Ludlow-Mount Holly, and you click on that, and that's all.
And Dave had put a part up there, so I think Dave likes it.
At
He
the-
did- oh yeah, there's his hand, but he definitely, yeah, you go, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, for those that like to want or need to look at data, like at each budget year, I'm the biggest pain in the butt for the school board to do line item items, and this would help that. In addition, I'll ask you all a question right now that it's the most basic of all questions. How many kids are in Ludlow and how many kids are in Mount Holly right now?
108 at Mount Holly.
No, I don't want you, Craig. None of us know. None of us probably know.
Oh, roughly right on, I figure roughly right on 100 in each school,
Yeah,
that's would be
well-
my guess.
We
But
talked
this would
about,
be that's the most basic data that would be included in this kind of thing.
And that data would be put in like once a year and not changed, and our enrollment and things like that do fluctuate, so. This is a budgeting tool, I just wanna make sure that people understand that this is the purpose of it.
Yep.
And then to get information out publicly.
If a lot of people will make use of it, rather than being frustrated by not being able to find what they're looking for in either our very limited, not so flashy reports or our Excel spreadsheets, it certainly is worth it. If it turns out that Dave and 5 other people are making use of it, then it's probably not. It's hard to know that until you try it.
Yeah, and that's why I asked if they have that capability to see how many people were visiting the website, because that would be something we would monitor.
One of the things that I had noted was that it was, I think, what really will target is data literacy around unpacking the data, understanding the data, learning more about how it's being utilized, the meaning that we can make from the data.
Next, I would ask too, if besides how many people use it, is there a way that people can leave comments after they use it?
I believe there's.
To say, hey, this was great, or what a waste of time, or something in between.
I think it can be set up so you can have comments.
Especially in the beginning, it would be important to have that feedback to see if it's worth it or not.
Alright, how does it, Dave, did you want to talk? No, alright, how does the board feel about going along with this adventure for the budgeting tool?
Julie's got her hand up.
Go ahead, Julie. Yeah.
I support the pilot of it, and seeing what the utilization is like and the feedback we get. I generally support anything that increases the transparency to the public around money and what's going on in the district. So I am in favor.
Great.
do we have to currently act, or is
No, I
it?
mean, we could do a consensus, I'm fine with that. I mean,
Well, no, I'm just looking at Cheryl, like, when do you need to know?
Well,
So what we said at the TRSU meeting was that the TRSU board unanimously said yes, subject to hearing from the 2 districts. And part of the idea for that was so that it wouldn't go another month and another month and another month.
Do we need a motion or just a general feeling that we're all on board?
we could do a motion, it's fine.
Either way,
Yep, doesn't matter to me, you can make motion.
Dave has his hand up again.
Okay.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say is, it's not like we're going to buy this if we decide to for the rest of our lives. If we just did, like Julie said, a year pilot and see how it worked out for us, we don't have to do it the following year. But at least I think it's worth giving it a try. And to that end, I make a motion, we do it.
All right, Dave D makes the motion, Dave M seconds it. All right, any more discussion on the motion?
I just feel like $10,000 is a lot of money for our smallish budget, really. And I don't know that we get $10,000 worth out of it, but that's my opinion. And I haven't really scoped it out, I'll be honest. When we do feedback at the end of the meeting, I'll have to bow my head down.
For Cheryl's $1,000 for the TRSU, split between the two school districts. So it's not 10,000 just for LMH, it's
Some of it will be a third of that.
a third of it.
All right, any more discussion? Comments? All right, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, okay, all right, so we got 2 opposed, so now we gotta do roll call vote.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do a roll call vote again for the motion, all right. Let's go, Jamie.
Nay.
All right, Dave M.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Wait, Kelly.
No,
Dave V.
Yes.
Yes. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 yeses, 2 noes. So the motion passes.
I would definitely
do that.
monitor for usage, yeah.
All right.
So the last thing I wanted to share, actually, the summer food program, we served 2,828 meals to campers and 7,140 meals to Mount Congress. They came and picked up the breakfast and lunch. We ended up with a profit for the food service for like 13,678, and of that, I just emailed Darlene today and she has 6,155 to spend on the kitchens or repairs or whatever in this district.
Nice. That's great.
was there any money provided from the flood for extra food for food service through us?
Honestly, I think that's where our profit came from. We didn't get money, but we had a lot more people participating in the program. I was shocked with the numbers. I didn't think we would when the flood hit, and we didn't have a grocery store in town. A lot of people took advantage of that because it was a bag of groceries for the week. Next year, I don't see it being quite as lucrative, but yeah, I think
Good, I mean, no, but good.
it's not gonna happen, but yeah.
Right.
All right. Any questions for Cheryl? We all good? All right. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right, moving along here, some old business. So superintendent search. We picked a date of October 26th at 6 p.m. and it's gonna be in Cavendish Gym, and it's an in-person meeting only. It winds up being the orientation meeting with NASDAQ for starting the TRSU, the superintendent search. And I just emailed everybody the orientation packet that I received. And I would highly recommend as many board members to show up at this, because we're gonna be covering a lot of things. We're gonna work on a liaison. We gotta figure out another liaison to distribute materials, salary range, the makeup of the committee. So we have a very fun-filled and packed evening with NASDAQ. So, and I've been talking to these guys for a few times now, and it's been awesome. They're great. They definitely have a lot of information and a lot of materials, and they're gonna guide us, and it's up to the board and the committee to do everything. So they're gonna teach how to do interviews. They're gonna do it's great. I can't complain. So tons of information. These guys are right on top of it. Bang, bang, bang. So that's what I have for an update with that. Any questions, comments with the superintendent search? No? Show up October 26th, Cavendish. All right,
Is that the thing you sent me?
Yes.
Okay, it's in my calendar.
all right. So now we got,
Julie's
oh,
other hand.
all right, go ahead, Julie.
The the email that you just circulated said October 17th.
Right, oh, sorry, it did say, we picked October 26th. That was the original date that he picked, and I asked for 2 other dates just in case something schedules weren't good, so we decided October 26th.
Okay, 6 p.m. And I don't see a location in this. Does it say where it is?
Oh, Cavendish, gym.
Okay.
The
Okay.
one sending out an agenda to all the board members for it, so, but yeah, that was only preliminary email prior to the meeting.
Thank you.
Right. Anything else? Thank you for the clarification. Yes, that's right. I did say that. All right. Next up, what we got here? All right, policies, second read policies. So we have F1's student conduct and discipline. F2, search and seizure of students by school personnel, and then this stipend policy, E10. This is our second read. And Julie, okay, I just asked that. Go ahead, Julie. Hold up. All right.
No, that was left over. I don't have a comment. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no problem. All right. So TRSU board passed all 3 of these policies. Any questions? Like I said, we had a whole 2 months to read these, so.
I'll make a motion, we adopt F1, 2, and E10.
All right, Kelly makes the motion.
Second.
Dave M seconds it. Any discussion on these 3 policies? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Raise your hand.
Hi.
All right,
All right.
opposed? All right, beautiful. Next. So community outreach for possible building bond. So everyone,
I think we decided at our last meeting that we didn't need to do anything until after we got the report next month.
got it.
But that we should move quickly as soon as we have it.
Right, I agree with that.
It might be confusing to people to give some information before we knew what we're really gonna do.
Right, sounds good.
Yeah.
There is someone on with the name AAULD, but there's nobody that's on this.
Sounds like Andrea, yeah.
You teach you from
Okay.
NHS?
I didn't know if you had a comment to people on, but
Yeah.
so we asked for the link.
Right. So, yeah, and then next month, said they're gonna be making presentation. So, excellent.
Big meeting, board meeting, budget and a bond, huh?
Budget and bond. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, the budget shouldn't be too long, it's preliminary.
Might take longer than it will tonight.
Yeah, maybe we'll see, yeah. All right, anything else on the community outreach? All right, new business, hey, look at that, more policies. Hey, everybody. That's the first thing you do, I guess, that we can talk, but, all right, F9, which is transportation. So the policy committee narrowed this down to one piece of paper. Before, we had in each individual policy for Green Mountain, Ludlow-Mount, TRSU, River Valley Tag, so we combined it all into this condensed, one simple policy. So which was nice, done, and the board approved it, or the committee approved it to move on, so that's what that one is. Yep.
In the age we're in with limited bus drivers and such, is there any clause or anything we should add about when we can't find a bus driver, we're doing our best job, sorry for the inconvenience. I don't mean that to be cold or anything, but just to, I don't know, I just know that many schools are often in predicaments where they're not providing transportation.
Right.
Or, you know, sporadically providing transportation.
Okay, so what you're saying, maybe add something like that to the policy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know.
thought, but I'm not gonna be bossy about it, I'm just.
I mean,
It says may provide, right?
right, I'm trying to think, we talked about it. Oh, man. Julie's not here, so she was there. I'm trying to think, we talked about that, may provide, because I thought we talked about that in the meeting, in the policy meeting about that.
Usually will provide, I don't know, I just don't wanna ever be stuck in, I know how we're all short on bus drivers.
Right, I got it. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean,
I know I had talked to some other people who may be bus drivers in like other states, and they were floored when there was like, oh, I'm not a bus driver. They're like, that's required. Like, how is
yeah, not in this
like
state.
that's
not
not
in
what
this state.
that's not what this says.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not.
It's not gonna be interpreted that way.
Right, but yeah,
Yeah,
may
that's why.
provide, that's why we did may provide, because we did talk about that.
The state of Vermont does not require the bus transportation be provided. So every individual school district and supervisory union gets to decide whether they will. And the decision within our two districts has been that we will, to the extent that we are able, which is we may provide it. We also
They struggle.
That the intent from Ludlow-Mount Holly District and Green Mountain District is to provide bus service for our students. So these two districts want to do, and subject to the reality, which is we can't do it there.
Right.
And you know, it is true, we can take it back to the policy committee
That's
and
fine.
ask about inserting something that says that, right? That it is the intent of the districts to provide school bus transportation.
Whatever, yeah.
However, we need everybody to be aware that if bus drivers or physical buses are not available, then we won't be able to do that. I mean, and we can make that manifest.
Yep.
This last one was a law. Yes. About the
18-year-old drivers going to.
I'm sorry?
The last, you,
Going to the tech
18-year-old
center, they have to be
passengers.
18 to drive themselves, and the
Yes.
passenger needs to be 18.
Yes,
That is law.
yes.
you can't have a 16-year-old with a driver's license anymore?
You can have a 16-year-old with a driver's license, but you can't have a 16-year-old with a
Passenger,
passenger with
right.
them. And we do not permit our students to drive themselves unless they're 18 years old. Because they're driving to a different campus. And well, because if we have a 16-year-old who drives themselves to River Valley Tech and then drives off somewhere else. So we expect them to be 18 before we say we're giving permission for you to be in the vehicle, not under our direct supervision, once you arrive.
And there's a piece of that we have liability for them once they're at the bus stop in the morning or whatever. So that makes sense, yeah.
But the policy seems to say that you can drive yourself whether you're 18 or not.
It's, I think so.
it said to and from with parents' permission,
Oh, with parents.
With parents' permission, right?
right?
Yes. But not just automatically. If you're 18, you can give permission to yourself.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, got it. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, we'll definitely bring it back. That's fine, no problem. We have a policy committee meeting. 23rd. So we'll bring it back to that one. All right, anything else on the transportation one? All right, and then next we got the cybersecurity. So this is brand new policy, never been ever done. And this was brought to us. So went through it, and you want to speak on that or a little bit, or?
The primary purpose of the policy is to acknowledge that our employees and people need to be trained to avoid disclosing inadvertently either student or their own personal information, and creating opportunities for breaches. And so it's just really kind of makes it a good reminder, and something that will just we need to.
Right, and something to do with the grants too, is that correct? Or- That was another one, okay, sorry.
Well, the grant it was an ESSER grant that there's a cohort of 10 SUs that are all working together. One of the outcomes of the grant was that as a group, we were to look at policy and create policy. This was actually penned by Colchester. They were kind of the first to get it done, and then it was shared. there were minimal changes made to make it, adaptable to us. There's a couple other, things with the cohort that we're sharing, and, there's really kind of the timeline for that, and some is about, I think it's the very last line in here is about incident response procedures and other resources, and tools that we can examine in our school district to make sure that our networks and our data is secure.
All right. Any questions? We got a whole month to look at it, or?
And so again, the policy, it says that employees shall all undergo annual training. Is the assumption that the district provides the training?
We are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used some Lisbeth security grant money a couple of years ago to subscribe to a training platform specifically for this. That we have a 3-year subscription. I also learned this last week that the AOE is about to announce that they're contracted with somebody to provide a training platform for all schools in Vermont free of charge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, I'm just suggesting that perhaps the policy should say that we will provide the training,
Yeah.
not just that they're required to take it. Right?
Well, it does say it shall include and not be limited to, so. I guess.
Right, but I mean, just as you read it could be interpreted to mean it's their job to go find the training.
Oh, I
Okay.
see what you're saying.
Right, and if the assumption is we're gonna do it anyway, maybe we could find a way to say it in the policy.
It's not a bad idea to have it there in case somewhere down the road, somebody says we don't have to pay for that. you know. But if the state's gonna do it for free, then we will provide it.
Right.
Well, right, you guys could figure out the words that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the cybersecurity? All good? Okay, all right. Now, all right, committee reports. So the TRC board report, that was pretty much the big thing, was the NASDAQ thing. Other than that, smooth, 1 hour, everybody behaved, good to go. So, it was a good one.
That's what you have to report.
Yeah, we'll behave, yes, yeah, I won't go there. So, all right, anything on the TRC board report? All right, policy committee, we talked about it, we'll bring both back, we'll do that, we'll do the F9, the G10, make the wording a little bit better, so no problem. And that meeting will be at October 23rd at Fletcher Farm at 6 o'clock, right behind TRSU. If anybody would like to attend, and Zoom, it's always a fun time at the policy committee. All right, and then facilities committee.
I don't think there's anything.
I don't think-
Other than.
It's coming right along?
We'll work hard next month.
Okay, all right, excellent. Yeah, okay. All right, next, policies approved at this meeting. It was F1, student conduct and discipline, F2, search and seizure of students by school personnel, and E10, the stipend policy. Perfect. Public comment. No hands. All right, no hands. Next meeting date agenda, November 8th, 2023 will be at Mount Holly School Library in Zoom. We were gonna attach fiscal year 25 budget to that. There'll be some more policies. And we will wind up having the presentation by EEI, right? Correct, all right. The presentation by EEI.
And the October 26th meeting.
I'll also talk about that in a minute, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else right now for the agenda that we can think of? No, okay, all right, and then the next meeting, then the superintendent search meeting will be October 26th at 6 o'clock at Cavendish in the gym in person only. It's gonna be at least 90 minutes, probably a little bit longer. We have a lot of things to discuss and go over. I definitely highly recommend everybody come to this meeting. It seems like it's gonna be really very informative. So.
Yeah, I'll be away.
Okay, I know, and it will be recorded, it will be videotaped, because it is a publicly warned meeting.
Oh,
So it'll be
Yes.
videotaped if Okemo TV
Well,
or Sapa
if-
TV show up.
Okay, yes, if they show up.
Because otherwise, our obligation is to take minutes.
Okay, it's
And,
minutes.
and if we're not doing things with Zoom,
Mhm.
we need to have either Okemo or
Okay.
Sapa TV.
Okay,
So
all
we
right,
let
well, maybe
them know.
Okemo will be there.
Usually
I
one
see
of them
Okemo
shows up.
Valley out there, October 26th, Cavendish, 6 p.m.
They're generally very good about it.
Yep. All right. Cool, so now we got the self-evaluation here. I'll roll right through this. We're given and have read the background materials prior to the meeting. Yes, most of us have, yes, yeah. I'll give you like this halfway there, Kelly.
3/4.
3/4, all right. We're respectful to each other, the public and administration. Yes, we're always nice people. We handled conflict openly and constructively. Yes, we did. We focused on the roles and responsibility of the board. Yes, from the fire tower level. And then we act as a team once decision's been made, and we work collaboratively through decision making. Yes, we did. We're doing very good with this evaluation here. Keeps us right on target. That's what Green Mountain should do. Green Mountain should be doing this. They'll get more thumbs up. All right, cool. Motion to adjourn.
So made.
All right, Kelly makes the motion.
second.
Dave M seconds it. All right, excellent. We're adjourned.